Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I hope you're all doing well. I spent a couple of hours in here last night and I have been playing with an awful lot of paper. I had an idea in my head that I wanted to make a journal that wasn't quite as scrappy as a junk journal, but something similar, and maybe donate it to the silent auction for the festival that's coming up very soon. And once I got started, I got all excited because I settled on a theme. The theme that I decided on, let me just show you the little piece of map that's left from all my cutting. This map was a BCAA map of Vancouver Island. And seeing as the festival's coming up in Victoria in the middle of August, that seemed like the perfect thing. So I'm going to show you a little bit of all of the faffing about I did last night. It's going to be definitely not the full thing because that was an hour and a half and you would be put to sleep by that. So I'll show you what I did last night to get to the point of having a cover made and 6 signatures ready to go. And today, after you've seen that clip, I'm going to show you what I am doing, because I haven't done it yet, to put the signatures into the cover. It's a little bit fraught because I am not sure if I'm going to be doing it right. So it's going to be a bit of an experiment. So yeah, hope you stick around to see how it turns out in the end.
Oh You had nothing to say. You chose to walk, give what we had away. I hope you get what you're looking for. But babe, with me, you close the door on everything we could have been. Don't go thinking we could be friends. No, you can't bring us back from the dead. 'Cause when you know, you know. And when you don't, when it ends, it ends. When it ends, it ends. I really thought we might have been it, so my heart was shattered when it took the hit. Oh, I can't imagine doing all that again, even for one night, to see where it went. Here's the thing, you made your bed, I just got your stay out of my head. No, you can't bring us back from the dead. 'Cause when you know, you know. And when you don't, when it ends, it ends. When it ends, it ends. End of the road, nowhere to go. You cut the ties, you burn the rope. So don't let me see your name lighting on my phone when it was you who let go of everything we could have been. Is it sinking in all your regret? No, you can't bring us back from the dead. 'Cause when you know, you know. And when you don't, when it ends, it ends. When it ends, it
This is where I got to last night. It's had a chance to all dry properly overnight. And I have to say, I'm really, really pleased with how that worked out, because it's just a pasta box and it feels really sturdy. The spine did get, what's the word I'm looking for, stabilized or reinforced, but the rest of it didn't. This little section, the double-sided sticky tape didn't really manage to hold it down, so I added glue and just clipped it overnight to make it stay. So there's a nice little section there for slipping bits and pieces into. Yeah, it's going to be a little scary today because I'm going to be punching holes through the spine, so I don't want to make a mistake or it'll be ruined. And I put my 6 signatures together so that each one has a piece of map. And oh, that's interesting. I must have these upside down. Oh, good grief. Just as well I checked that, isn't it? I just realized that pocket was upside down. Okay, so I think this is the way they go. So I've got some lined paper, some squared paper. This has got this decorative thing tucked inside. Somebody can write on the back of that. Some plain paper, and there's the "Oh, the Places You'll Go" thing that I clipped out of the Dr. Seuss magazine. This one has one of the book pictures in, a Canadian scene, and pocket section, and again the squared, lined and plain paper. So yeah, I just distributed my pictures and my different kinds of paper and put the decorative things in where it seemed like a sensible place to have them. So I have to punch the holes into these. So I made myself a little template how I need to punch my holes. So if you imagine, that is the spine. So I'm going to have 4 rows of holes, 6 holes across, because there are 6 signatures. And I need to punch all these holes through there. And then I also need to use the center of this as a guide to punch my holes into my signatures. Now I'm going to have to maybe change this a bit, maybe trim a bit off this once I've done my spine, because obviously I don't want the very bottom of this signature to match up with the very bottom of my cover. I want it to be slightly inside. So yeah, I'll have to just draw a different line so that when I put my 4 holes in to the signatures, they turn out in the right place. This feels a little nerve-wracking because once the hole is made, it cannot be unmade. Rather than use a self-healing mat, I do have this piece of wood which I like to hammer into when I'm doing things like grommets and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe this will work. Either like that or maybe like this. I don't know if I want to completely flatten this out again. It might damage something. So yeah, I think I'll do it like this. I don't know how easy it is going to be to put this through there or not. So this is just a little awl that I got with my cam snap set, which was not really cam snaps, but you know what I mean. It's one of those cheap sets you get from China. So I'm hoping that this is going to make good size holes for me to pass a needle through. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Even if I just make a small hole to start with, I can always widen it up afterwards. Now, they're probably not going to be perfect, but this is Stitches and Slapdashery, guys, you know. If you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that I don't fret if something isn't perfect. Oh, so far so good. All right, next row. My tagline is, done is better than perfect. It's a bit like if someone thinks their knitting should look like it was made by a machine with perfect evenness. Well, no, it's a handmade item. It does not need to look like it was made by a machine. It's been so hot here this summer, well, at least for July. June was quite manageable, but July's been a bit of an oven, and we've had a lot of smoke the last few days. The air quality's been really bad. I've had the windows shut constantly for the last couple of days. This morning I could see blue sky, so I opened up the windows a bit. But within an hour or two, I had to shut them again because it was getting so hot outside. I'm very grateful for air conditioning. It doesn't just cool, it also filters the air as it cycles it around. So it makes it a lot more pleasant inside. All right, you probably can't see those because they're very small. But yeah, it went all the way through. And I think I will have to just, do that with each one just to make it a bit bigger. The next thing I need to do is figure out what cord or thread I am going to use for this, because I still haven't done that. Oh, you can probably see them a lot better now. The 4 rows of 6. I have some bulldog clips ready for when I do these, because once I've pushed the holes through these signatures, I don't want them to move. I think I'll just do one at a time. Of course, what they suggest is that you use an old telephone book and open it up and rest your signature into the crease so that you can sort of stab the hole through. But of course, who has a telephone book these days? Not me. Let's just make sure everything's lined up. I'm going to put a clip on here. This is a massive clip. I have so many of these. I really don't think I need one that's this big. I'm going to go grab some cord, and I'm going to go grab some more smaller clips. I'm going to use this brown bamboo cord here. It's a 1mm bamboo cord from Michaels. I did wonder whether to use the white, but I rather like the contrast against the spine. And I can thread it into a needle that's got a large eye, but should still fit through the holes okay. Well, I might still need to yank on it a bit. So let's see, I was going to use my template for that, wasn't I? And I need to just make myself a little mark across the bottom, or maybe just fold it. Maybe I will fold it like this. That way, if I cut the paper, where are the holes? The holes are there. Yeah, I think that'll work. I'm going to have to fold this in half so that it sits in there nicely. And then punch. Cross fingers, that worked. Woohoo! So far, so good. Now, when it comes to actual sewing, I did myself a little drawing because I need to figure out how to do this so that everything works out in the right place. So I need to go from the inside of the pamphlet, not pamphlet, signature, out through the cover, back in through the cover, through the signature, out through the cover, in through the signature. And then I think what I need to do is hop over the top of this to get into the next signature. All will become clear once I get started, I'm sure. And I'm not sure how much thread to use. I'm going to need at least, I'm going to have to go up and down at least 6 times, aren't I? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to do a whole bunch more because I don't want to run out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a tail on this first one, and I'll figure out how to attach it down afterwards. I'll just clamp it down there so that it doesn't get pulled through. So out through these holes. Now I wonder if I should start from the front hole or the back hole. Maybe if I start into the front row and then I can flip it that way. It probably doesn't matter. Okay, let's go for it. So, through the first hole. At some point I may have to grab a little piece of non-slip vinyl to make sure I can pull the needle through because my hands are really hot right now and not very grippy. Okay, first bit done. Now out through this hole. and then in through this hole. So as you can see, there's going to be 6 lines of thread here, 6 lines of thread here. And when I saw that in one of the library books, I liked the way it looked. Obviously, with some books, you sew your signatures in and then you cover up the binding thread, but I don't want to do that in this case. This is why it's important to keep the pages clamped together, because you don't want them floating about when you're trying to put it through multiple pages. I think this bamboo thread will be strong enough for this. It shouldn't be under a huge amount of strain. All right, I got this little bit of non-slip vinyl. Oh yeah, that makes all the difference. In fact, why don't I put that down through that hole and maybe pull it through both parts at the same time? Oh, now that makes no sense. I'm sure I cut this far too long, but that's all right. And then into that top hole, and then through that hole there in the signature. Beautiful. So I need to just tighten that up. Somehow. All right, so the first one is attached. There's my threads on the outside. There's my signature sewn to the spine. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. All right, let's get these clamps off here and put some holes in the next one. And stab it. If you're feeling a little stabby, this is a great hobby. So that's the front one. So if I turn the page, I'm going to need to do this. And then come around to the inside of this signature, go into this hole, and then into the second hole in that line. I've not seen it done quite like this before, but from the pictures in the last book I looked at, it definitely showed that there was some thread hopping over the top of the signature into the next section. There we are. And now into this hole. I feel like as this gets fuller, it might get a little more fiddly. That one took a lot of faffing about to find the hole properly. Right. I think what's easier is to leave these threads a little loose to start with, and then tighten them up once you've done all of them. And then down into that one there. And then into this hole here. And there's the final hole on the signature, which is pretty tiny. Okay, tightening up time. I can take the clamps off. I think you can see how it's going. So I'll do the rest off camera and show it to you when I have finished with my 6 signatures. Well, that got easier as I went along because I figured out what I was doing after the first couple of signatures going in, and I really love how this looks. It's great. Now I just have to figure out how to attach my ends. I think I can probably just bring this tail up to this loop here and make some sort of little knot, but I'll do the back first because that's where my needle's attached. So all of the signatures are now inside the spine, and it's not super full. It looks full enough to start with, but it means that as people use this, or as a person uses this, and maybe the pages get a little fuller of things, and maybe they paste in mementos of trips or anything, there's room for expansion. This is my last page right here. I think what I'm going to do is just try and scooch the end under this last bar of thread. Yeah, I did cut way too much, but then I knew I had done that. So let's just see if I can tie a knot of some kind here. Because the first and last signatures will have this extra piece of thread in, but I don't think there's any other way of doing it. There's nothing to attach it to at the very back there. So I think that's just going to be unavoidable. With paper, you have to be so careful. I was really watching carefully to make sure as I was pulling the cord through, especially the centers of these signatures here, I was really aware of the fact that if I was rough with it, I was going to end up ripping the paper. I think that should hold. And then I'll just do the same at this end. Next challenge. Not finished yet. The next challenge is going to be making some sort of closure for this. I do have these from Staples. They call them round head fasteners, but you know, it's a brad. Probably you just call it a brad. I call it a brad. And they're rather nice and shiny gold. And I could punch a hole in here and put a brad in. But I'm just thinking, how would that help me attach something? I also have this twill tape, which I think would look quite nice. But now that I've used the brown thread, I'm not sure about the blue twill tape. I also have green twill tape, and I have tape measure twill tape. But now I'm second guessing myself on that. I think this has been the fiddliest bit so far, trying to tie a knot in something without wrecking anything. I'm delighted with it so far. Each step is a concern because I don't want to ruin what I've done so far. There's a lot of time put into this at the moment. Now I wonder if this is just too thin. I'm going to check my elastic stash. I'm racking my brains here. I have my cord, a brown bamboo cord, which is not stretchy. I have a few different kinds of elastic. I have a skinny white, a skinny black, but I just feel like those would be too thin. I have this navy blue mask elastic. I call it that because that's when I got it, was COVID time. And an elastic thing would be handy because you could just slip it over there. But then do I try and attach it, or do I just keep it as a separate piece? I feel like it would get lost. I've got some really wide, colourful elastic, but that kind of dominates, and I don't like the look of it. I have a very thin turquoise ribbon, which I rather like. And I have a wider blue. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a brad into the front of this and somehow work out how to attach some of this turquoise ribbon. Because it's so thin, I'm thinking that it could loop around here. You could wrap it like this and then wrap it around the brad. All right, we're going to go for that idea. I have my nice sharp 4mm eyelet maker from Lee Valley. Back to the wooden board again. And my little hammer that I always keep close by. I need to make sure that I don't make a hole in something I don't want to make a hole in. Let's just get an idea of where the midway point is on this. So 3 3/4, just above the oak bay writing. Doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but yeah, if I just make sure it's just northwest of Oak Bay, it should be great. Again, I don't want to open this all the way. I don't want to strain anything. All right, I think that'll work. Beautiful. This is so much better than those crummy little tools that they give you in the eyelet and grommet sets. So much better. Made a lovely, neat hole. Hopefully not too big. Nope, should be fine. All right. Now, the one thing I didn't think about is when these legs go open, they are going to potentially stick out beyond the edge of the book. I think I will slip something underneath the edge of that so it doesn't stay too tight to the book cover. What can I do that with? I want to have a little bit of play there. I'm going to take this whole piece of ribbon. I'll just cut that bit of tape off the end of it. And we'll go with the halfway mark here. You know, I love making a mess. I really love making a mess. But I also like to clean up afterwards and have it look nice for the next project. There we are. So that goes underneath there. Maybe I should have made it tighter. No, because I wanted to wrap it. Perhaps I will tie it like that. And now it can go around maybe a couple of times just to look nicer. And then hopefully there. I think I'll just tie a knot in each of these. I'm not going to make any effort to have them be the same distance from the ends because I like things to be asymmetrical sometimes. Yeah, I'm going to leave them this long. If the person who ends up getting this journal doesn't like it that long, they can trim it. And I think it would be a good idea to cover that up. I'm just going to have to see if I can find some more of that paper. I think rather than gluing it and potentially making it all wrinkly and stuff, I think I am just going to put this double-sided tape on here. And I didn't try and match the pattern up or anything, but I think that looks good. I think I'm done, guys. This is so exciting. Give you a little flick through. We have our lovely pinky lining. Signature number 1. Signature 2. Oops. Signature 3. No, that's still signature 2. Signature 3. Pocket. Quite a deep pocket. And it's just held by double-sided sticky tape on the edge. Just for skinny things to slide in there. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. And then that little pocket at the back. And the stitching. And there it is, all finished. I absolutely love it. I would definitely use that for myself if I wasn't already planning to give it away. I'm going to have to get a photograph of that and either add it to a basket that already exists or put it in with something else. We're still getting donations for this festival that's coming up in August. And yeah, I think it would be good to either add into something else or include in some of my other makes. The reason I originally thought of a journal was that I have all these book sleeves that I sewed months ago as part of my donation for the festival, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a journal that slipped inside a book sleeve? But you know what? I think this is probably too wide, too deep. That's okay. It can stand alone. Anyone who lives on Vancouver Island would be pretty happy to have that. They might even be able to find the street where they live if they're in Victoria, or maybe in one of the other maps of the other towns that are up that east coast there. East coast of a west coast island. Well, not all of my projects turn out the way I hope they do, but this one I'm really happy with, and I hope you enjoyed coming along to watch how I made it. Do let me know in the comments if you've ever made any sort of journal or book and the techniques that you like to use and where you learnt your skills from. This is a good example today of the power of the library because, yes, I've seen a few people online doing bookbinding and things like that, but most of the skills I use today I learned from library books pretty recently. And all of the materials I used, I already had in my sewing room. The macaroni box just came out of the recycling. And of course, now that we mostly use Google Maps or some sort of sat nav for getting around, why not cut up maps to enjoy in other ways? Do you remember those days? Trying to open up this massive, massive map when you're in the passenger seat and your partner or your friend is in the driver's seat, and you're trying to squint to see where the heck you are and where you're going. The one thing I do like about it, though, those old maps, they did show you a bigger picture. You could see roughly which direction you were going and what you were headed for, instead of just a tiny little slice of geography. And you could also see what other alternative routes there might be to get where you're going in a more fun way, really. I do sometimes regret that we don't use maps more now. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you, and I'll see you again next time with something different.